Hello, listeners. This is Gargi Banerjee, and you are listening to the CHRO Mindset podcast.
Hello, listeners. Welcome back to the season 3 of the CHRO Mindset podcast. Following an amazing first 2 seasons, we are returning with even more engaging discussions and practical takeaways. Today, we have a very senior Chief People Officer, CHRO from the industry, Gargi Banerjee. She is a senior HR leader with over 20 years of multi-sector expertise, driving HR strategy across the UAE, GCC, Middle East, Africa, and South Asia. Having worked in manufacturing, pharma, FMCG, and industrial sectors, she specializes in scaling HR in complex multi-country environments. She has spearheaded enterprise-wide HR digitization, cutting manual work by 80%, introduced gamified learning and interactive PMS tools, and rolled out DEI programs with measurable business impact. Her work blends process design, tech enablement, and culture building at scale. Gargi holds global credentials including GPHR, SPHRI, and OD certifications from Middle Earth HR and Vaktitva. She has been recognized with the Global Strategic HR Leadership Award and is followed by 17,000 plus professionals on LinkedIn for her awesome insights on strategic and data driven HR. Her core belief HR should drive performance, not just policy. Gargi, we are thrilled to have you here. Welcome to the CHRO Mindset podcast.
Thank you, Pulkit. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So let me introduce what we are going to cover in today's episode to our wonderful audience. So in today's episode, we step into the boardrooms and break rooms where one challenge quietly shapes the future of work, and that is attrition. Why do some employees stay for longer than they ever imagined, while others leave just when they are hitting their stride? We uncover why so many HR teams still react late to the warning signs and what blind spots keep leaders from spotting voluntary exits before they happen. From designing experiences that work for the top 10% and the wider workforce to exploring the thin line between culture tailored for high achievements and culture fractured by it, we will ask hard questions that determine whether people thrive or walk away. Through real stories of internal mobility, making the difference between I quit and I'm staying, we will decode the hidden levers of retention from talent marketplaces that unlock agility to promotions, learning paths, and the culture factor that often tips the scale. Along the way, we'll also take on rapid fire questions on culture, compensation, builder by the retention stat that every CHRO should track, and many other things. So with that, let's get started, Gargi, with our icebreaker question. My first question for you, what's one reason you have personally stayed longer at a company than you expected?
Great question, actually, to start with, Pulkit. And if you look at my experience, generally speaking, one of the major reasons that I stayed much longer than I expected, it was a transition from a sales and marketing role to a HR kind of a role, and that first transition was something which is I'm really proud of, something to talk about even after so many years. The biggest reason that I stayed in that role is primarily because of the direct manager's leadership style. It may sound very cliche, it may sound very such a small point, but trust me, around your career span, wherever you work, in whatever level you work, what is most important is what kind of rapport or what kind of culture your direct manager is giving you. Alongside the brand value, alongside the career goal and the learning path and the opportunity, these are absolutely necessary. And I was lucky enough to get all of them. But the trust, but the empowerment of and the I should say belief of my direct manager has helped me stay in that organization close to 7 years, which was something
Wow.
such a nice experience even to remember.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. Now let's get to our core theme, right, which is around employee retention. And we are going to look at 3 C's here. One is how to design cultures, careers and choices that make people stay, right? So that said, why do you think most HR teams still address attrition reactively when the damage is done? Even though they know of the early signs that existed.
See, there are multiple reasons for that. I
Hmm.
personally seen and experienced that most of the time the HR team are really stretched thin, because the expectation from HR is at times that we should be doing each and everything in that spectrum.
Hmm.
So while doing each and everything in that spectrum, many a times we lose on the balance between perform versus transform. And when I talk about perform versus transform, it is very essential that the pressure to perform is very high. But
Hmm.
early sign of retention and early sign of attrition, it is also essential for HR and the business leader to identify.
Hmm.
So one of the reasons
Hmm.
that HR lose out, it seems, because of the resource constraints, because we are most of the time we are resource thin.
Hmm.
It can be the culture of the organization, that the organization believes in churning out employees. There are
Hmm.
DNAs in certain organization that they give those kind of, I should not say cushion, but those kind of
Hmm.
ecosystem for you to thrive and for you to fail and learn and then grow. But there
Hmm.
are organization which does not have that. So obviously attrition becomes the core of those kind of organization, with all due respect. And
Hmm.
for HR team, leading HR team since last many years, I have seen
Hmm.
the short term pressure on the HR is very high.
Hmm.
Perform
Hmm.
this rather than doing a little bit of an analysis. So I keep on telling this to my team member, that you should have, at a maturity level of any organization, you should have a 70 to 30% kind of a balance, that 70% perform and 30% transform. Until unless you have
Hmm.
that, it can change basis the maturity of those organization or the HR team. But that balance
Hmm.
is very essential, so that we do not become reactive always, we become
Hmm.
quite responsive. And I can give you
Hmm.
multiple examples of my association with in my previous and present assignments, where we have identified that this person is going to probably put his
Hmm.
papers.
Hmm.
Because when you do the skill analysis of the market mapping, trust me, there are few
Hmm.
niche skills where there is always a lot of, I should say, a lot of demand. So you need to preserve
Hmm.
your people, your team members, if they are falling into that niche skills. So of course
Hmm.
those are essential element to match with the external market and the internal reality.
Awesome. Now let's talk about the biggest predictors of voluntary attrition that leaders often miss. We spoke of those early signals, right? But then one has to be able to measure those or cite them in advance. So what are those predictors, in your opinion?
Um, I have seen all these examples, or all the discussions that I'm having. I'm giving you real time examples and real time
Sure.
scenarios. One of the major predictors, there is a beautiful like statement. It
Hmm.
is it is a hard fact, if the most enthusiastic employee suddenly stops talking
Hmm.
in the meeting. It is
Hmm.
something.
Hmm. Hmm.
It is a point,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
we are human. We are not bots. We have
Hmm.
our emotions, and which is
Hmm.
very rightful to have those emotions. So when you see the engagement, I'm not talking about organization wise engagement score, because here we are talking about attrition of, not of a group, attrition of performers or attrition of loyal colleagues. Engagement score decline, this is one. This is an
Hmm.
early sign. Second early sign, that you can see the pattern of the leaves or the absenteeism. Trust
Hmm.
me, absenteeism leaves in culture. One thing I always keep on telling, that culture matters on Sunday evening, exactly how you're feeling on for the Monday morning. That is the culture
Hmm.
that is important. Are you really
Hmm.
energized to reach to the workplace? That is a
Hmm.
hard question that all our, not only the HR leader, but the business leader needs to ask.
Hmm.
Are you really interested to go the next day morning, waiting the traffic, the climate, the many things, the family issues, why what not? So this is one
Yeah.
early sign. Another one point you can check for, we nowadays we have talent marketplace, we have internal mobility. I can give you examples I have seen that due to internal mobility reasons, a 60-65% fitment colleague who could not move to a next role inside the company has gone out within 3 months. And when
Hmm.
this kind of things happen, we HR leaders, we try to bring in people from outside. Trust me, that person will also take 6 months to speed up. It is always good to
Very
move,
true.
navigate internal talents. And second, you can check out the burnout signs. In my recent organization, I have checked out those signs very early and try to talk to them, try to understand their challenge, try to give them at least some supporting hand, so that a high performer or a consistent performer does not lose out managing those fatigues. So these are the
Hmm.
things which are essential to for us to look. But here I want to
Hmm.
add one point.
Hmm.
HR in today's world needs to be, I should say, hyper connected with the workforce across
Hmm.
levels. uh, Senior people like me should be connected with senior colleagues because they are also human. They also experience all
Hmm.
those challenges. The colleagues in the
Yeah.
team, they should be also looking at colleagues at their level so that they can connect, that creating that bond, so you can
Yeah.
actually track those early signs.
Great. I know some awesome pointers there, and I'm sure people who are listening to this podcast uh, will start to go back and think about how they can bring out changes, or at least get some signs and convert those signs into potential actions that would reduce attrition. Now, uh, let's look at it from two dimensions. Okay, so on one side of the spectrum, you have your top 10 performers, 10% performers, the best of the best, the A team, as they say, whom one would not want to lose. Okay. And then you have majority of the workforce. Okay. So how should HR leaders design employee experiences for either or both of these segments? And if both, then how should they strike that balance?
Great question. And trust me, compensation alignment, we always talk that, okay, you
Yeah.
give salary, the person will stay. It
Hmm.
is not always the correct truth in today's world post pandemic.
Hmm.
The world has completely changed. The world of work has completely changed post pandemic.
Hmm.
With Gen Z millennials coming in the majority of the workforce, the definition of work is now not only paying bills. The definition
Hmm.
of work is fulfillment, is purpose.
Hmm.
More, we as senior leaders across HR, across businesses, because we are also HR leader and we are also functional leaders. All the
Hmm.
more functional leaders understand that people are working for purposes and the fulfillment, regardless of the generation, because we are also being impacted by the generational input right now. Both of us, we come from a different generation, but isn't it
Hmm.
something which we really started valuing? Ask this question to
Hmm.
yourself, and I'm asking this
Hmm.
question to myself,
Hmm.
because this
Hmm.
is this is the this is the era that we are into. This is the wind that is blowing. Now, coming
Hmm.
back to the point of whether we are going to really talk about the performance or the performer of the top 10%, or the rest of the organization. It is a balanced approach, because when you
Hmm.
only look at the 10%, you are alienating many of the organizational other consistent players. If I talk about nine box, trust me, the nine box talent mapping does not only focus on the box numbers 7, 8, 5, and 6. No,
Hmm.
people who are listening to me in this podcast from core HR and core strategic HR, they will understand why, what I mean by those box numbers. A box number 7, which is a high potential low performer, probably a low
Hmm.
performer because of some other ecosystem issue, system issues. but he is a high potential. So HR needs to look at that person very core, in a core manner.
mm,
Box number 2 3, who are medium potential medium performer, or a low potential medium performer, these are the soldiers which you need to run the wheel of the organization, the economy of the organization. So honestly
mm,
speaking, it is very essential for us to segment it out, which is number
mm,
one. Have a layered
mm,
approach, layered approach
mm,
which manages the mass and also manages the class. The class
mm,
might require, not might, the class must require differentiated projects. The class
mm,
must require differentiated capability building, but the mass
mm,
also requires support, capability
mm,
building, organizational priority training, which is essential
mm,
for the whole organization. As we look into the core values, as we look into the business, as we look into the phase of the business, you identify, or rather I have always identified, at least
mm,
minimum two functional skill which needs to
mm,
be given regardless of which strata of the talent ecosystem you fall into. It can be a business
mm,
acumen, it can be a digital literacy, it can be a
mm.
AI basic certification.
Yeah.
Trust me, these are real value adder. It adds, and it does not differentiate, which is very essential. Otherwise, it becomes like you are only talking for the people who matters in an
Mm,
organization, a vast and diverse organization. Each and
mm,
every employee matters.
mm, mm,
Each and every employee matters. So my take on this, when we do this kind of approach, you are also creating not only a bench, you are also promoting internal mobility, which is a game
yeah.
changer in today's world in diverse sectors.
Great. Love those tactics, especially, how you called out the masses and the classes, and then how, we need to strike a balance between these two segments, which is extremely crucial because you just cannot rely wholly on the top 10 performance because at the end of the day, it's one company, right? With one goal, of course, everyone has their own capabilities, capacities to deliver what the company is looking for. But if I were to take a hypothetical case, right? Let's say an organization is, of course, it's wrong just to focus on the top performers, the high achievers. But in case they happen to do that, according to you, what's the upside and what is the risk of tailoring the culture too much to high achievers?
See, the upside in today's hyper connected world is the biggest upside, if you ask me. The elite talent will bring elite talent. That's for sure. I have seen it myself. uh,
Hmm,
the the elite talent will also attract elite talent, when you, because we are all connected, right? So one of the
hmm,
major upside is it boosts the performance. It makes
hmm,
tangible changes. We have seen
hmm,
that in
hmm,
multiple organization, in multiple places. One element, or one, a middle manager, I can give you
hmm,
example, one middle manager has really made significant tangible impact within 3 months of his joining, only on the response time. I have
hmm,
seen that myself. So that's a talent which is really making a stride inside the ecosystem within a very short span of time. Looking into, if we now, not hypothetically, if we now
hmm,
try to promote him in terms of internal visibility across the organization. Promotion does not always means that you are giving a promotion. No, it means
hmm,
how you are making the visibility, how you are appreciating that on a I should say HR MS, where we have those appreciation point where the whole company can see. So when you do this kind of things, that person will also bring in elite talent, number one. Number two, it gives certain sudden and proactive boost in the performance, and it also accelerate the growth of that function to support.
hmm,
The example that I'm giving you, that example of my present and couple of past organizations, in business support function like procurement, in support function like marketing, in HR, in finance, and of course sales. Sales is very easy to actually track, but I'm talking about even functions where it is not easy to track, but the customer or
mm,
the internal stakeholders input gives you that feedback. Okay, yes, he
mm,
is making a change, he is making an
mm,
impact. So this is one
mm,
example for the upside. There are
mm,
risks, no doubt about it. As I told you, the risk can be that it can alienate, it can make others feel a little bit out of place, out of track, and it also can give a little bit of a burnout pressure. Not everybody can take high performer pressure as an achievement drive. It can
yep,
create burnout, also subtle burnout pressure, fatigue inside those departmental ecosystem. So it's there. And if it is like a company where those kind of elite talents are rare, the pressure on the elite talent is also high, because the
mm,
ecosystem will try to pull him or her down, honestly speaking. And these are all practical points which I have seen and
yep,
experienced, and preserved those elite talent for those kind of negative atmosphere.
true. Okay. Let's now look at another dimension of this entire theme, right? And I think you have already covered a little bit about it, but let's now deep dive into what we call as the talent marketplaces, right? So, how can internal talent marketplaces reduce attrition and increase agility?
Super question, and this is something which this generation right now, who have entered the workplace, and the middle career people who are around 30 to 35, 38 years of age, they are really looking at the internal talent marketplace. And I tell you why.
Hmm.
Because in today's hyper connected world, and at the same time with all those certification, professional certification are now available, people are
Hmm.
pursuing their real interest of
Hmm.
work, real interest of different kind of projects, and it is making
Hmm.
them very passionate about their career. Today, the career is
Hmm.
also like a marketing, honestly. And I'm
Yeah.
talking from a point of view of seeing very differently trained people taking a very different kind of a career. I'm talking
Hmm.
about doctors doing MBA,
Hmm.
engineers, obviously they do a lot of MBAs. Internal talent marketplace is very essential for the mid-career
Hmm.
people, and with
Hmm.
the age group of around 25 to 30, 35, who are
Hmm.
in their early career and they're in their early to mid career.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
people, this class of colleagues are getting enough opportunities right now to pursue their passion even at the
Hmm.
workplace through
Hmm.
various kind of professional certification, other certification, where they can pursue their passion and their enthusiasm also.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
now those internal talent marketplace, if we have a setup, when we have that setup, people can actually apply, people can actually do those kind of mobility inside, even if it is not a full departmental mobility, but a project wise mobility, and to keep them
Hmm.
engaged. Because in today's world, those same kind of, I should say, same kind of job for same many number of years, trust me, that does not attract today's generation or the workforce anymore. It does not attract even
Hmm.
senior people like us.
Hmm.
It does not attract it
Hmm.
anymore. So it is essential that the internal talent marketplace is available. Project wise, skill wise, identification of the skill is very essential at the level. And these, when I'm talking about all this, I'm talking about practical way to identify those skills. There are systems,
Hmm.
there are HRMS, uh, all the softwares that we use nowadays, even not the high end elite one. They also give you those segmentation as per your competency, as per your functional competency. You can actually
Hmm.
segment your workforce accordingly. Now coming back to this internal talent marketplace, it gives a lot of empowerment and lot of
mm,
transparency in the mind of those colleagues
mm,
who are applying.
mm, mm,
Who
mm,
doesn't want to take charge of his or her own career? We, all of us. And when organization gives those transparency, it honestly gives a lot of value in the back of the mind of the employees. So of course, yes, internal talent marketplace is essential. It gives a huge agility inside the system itself. It gives a huge agility because faster talent deployment is the biggest outcome of internal talent marketplace. And when I talk about talent deployment, I am not talking about a talent completely shifting from one function to another function. No, project wise deployment, short
mm,
term project, medium term project. You work, you learn, you come back to your core once again. It gives a super cross-functional collaboration, not only at the talent level but at the functional head level like us. I have done that in my multiple previous assignment, and also trying to do that in my recent assignment. It gives
mm,
you that card to nicely build an ecosystem which talks about tangible talent outcome, which is essential. And as we people like us who believes in processes and system, because HR is essential about all those things, you give a right visibility to those talent with a quarterly talent review for all those projects. So I'm a big proponent of this particular theme, and I believe it is really making a lot of difference right now since last couple of years for sure in my own workplace, in my own practices.
great, amazing insights. Uh, now that we have spoken of internal mobility also and talent marketplaces, could you walk us through a case where um, eventually internal mobility became the reason why someone didn't leave the organization and stayed with the organization for many years?
One of the cases myself itself long back,
Oh,
because
okay. Yeah,
because I'm a marketing graduate, and then eventually shifted to HR. So when I
yeah,
started my career, and the longest stint that I stayed, one of the major
yeah.
reason that I stayed, that I was also working on the marketing part of the learning and development, means being part of
Mm,
the project, being part of the product marketing. So that was something which I myself was an example, that
mm,
I could really stay for that, because I need to fulfill those tricks of a marketeer. Until unless I have that, only HR or learning was giving not giving me that. So obviously organization understood and supported me that way to make me part of those marketing projects. It was wonderful. Recently, I give you example,
mm.
there are multiple, but I will give you some example
Sure.
for one of the colleague who actually wanted to work in international market,
Mm,
international sales and marketing, and eventually he has outgrown the role that he was doing, and we ensured that he is given those opportunity, and that is one of the reason that he stayed with the organization, and he's working well with that organization. And I am one
mm,
of the core influencer to make that happen, because when you
mm,
people like us who do a lot of hard work to get the right talent inside the business, it is
mm,
really disheartening to see that the
mm,
when the talent also like does not get what he or she is looking for. So it
mm,
for me it becomes a moral responsibility to support as much as we can, because that is what is HR all about, to
mm,
make impact not only at the business point of view but also at the talent point of view. We have to
mm.
balance that.
So, Gargi, my next question to you is there are two choices, or maybe three ways an HR leader can, drive retention. One is either through promotions. Second is through giving them an awesome learning path, right? Third, of course, is maybe compensation benefits. And then the other macro thing is the culture of the organization, right? So according to you, what matters the most? These three things that I spoke of, right? Learning, earning, and promotions or recognition, or the culture of the organization.
It's a very layered and a customized question.
Okay.
Uh, it depends, first and foremost, and it
Mhm.
depends on the stage of the organization, in terms of this maturity of the organization stage, and also the stage of that particular talent, uh, in discussion. But I will try to give you answer an example combining individual talent, individual key
Mhm.
talent, and also combining the general aspect which we are seeing and practicing in today's world. First and
Hmm.
foremost, whatever is the learning path, whatever is the promotion,
Hmm.
these are, in today's world, these are given.
Hmm.
You are trying to do that, or organization is giving that not as a favor anymore to the employees. Probably it was a favor in early 2000,
Hmm.
but after 2010, 15, when with the internet boom, and after this COVID and everything, it is
Yeah.
no more seen as something additional. It is it is something which is part of the whole spectrum or the whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
Over and above, if it is something cutting edge, that becomes, I should say, a distinguishable factor. So
Okay.
that's fine. Learning path, career, this is what you are saying. What is
Yeah.
most important when we see four generations or five generations at the workplace, and both all the generations are at a different stage of the pyramid in terms of the hierarchy, in terms of their requirement, in terms of
Hmm.
their triggers, motivators.
Hmm. Hmm.
One thing is sacrosanct, and I should say a common factor is the culture. That
Hmm.
is non-negotiable. Now, culture itself is a very vast term. And now, if I want to decode that culture, what matters in today's world, first and foremost, is the purpose, the respect, the empowerment, and the, I should say, and the behavior. Culture is nothing but collective behavior of an organization, how we work and how we behave at the workplace.
Hmm.
So when we
Hmm.
when we talk about, and culture is not, trust me, culture is not birthday parties. Culture is, when I told you, culture is,
Hmm.
it actually asked on Sunday evening, okay, are you really interested? That is the culture. That is the hard question. So now coming
Hmm.
back to the point, what is essential, non-negotiable, it is culture. But
Hmm.
it depends also, culture also has its own maturity level. For a startup,
Hmm.
the culture is fast,
Hmm.
the agility. For a matured organization, the culture is retention, and then
Hmm.
move to the next level. Similarly,
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
depends also on the organization and also on the talent. Culture is the core, to attract, retain, and of course the thrive, the organization. Learning path, promotion, strong performance management, these are now have become something which is there, which we do
Hmm.
not talk, which is already inbuilt in the ecosystem of the organization, or a progressive organization for that matter. I
Okay.
became a bit emotional talking about this because it is such a core question.
Yeah. I was saying, long story short, I think it's all about culture because everything else is a passe now, right? Uh, those things earlier used to work, but uh, until something new comes up, for the larger part of foreseeable future, I think culture is the key. That's the mantra that you
Absolutely.
suggest. Yeah.
And skill development, career growth will always be there. and will
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
But up the
Absolutely.
ante is that particular few pointers, few notch above is
Hmm.
definitely the culture quotient. That is what is most
Hmm.
important.
So I think that was the last question I had with regards to today's theme, which was around retention. Now let's get into our rapid fire section, right?
And
Expecting
before we
you,
go to the rapid fire section, I just want to give a small
please.
like
Sure,
small point.
sure,
Culture
sure.
is like the we all love gardening. We all love nature. Culture is like the soil.
Hmm.
Trust me. But the
Hmm.
real sunlight and the water or the air is the or the promotion or the learning path. Those are essential. But if the soil is not
Hmm.
good, even the best of the
Hmm.
sunlight, best of the air, best of the water will not help, because soil is the core. That's
Awesome.
all on
Awesome.
what everything is staying.
Yeah, that's an amazing analogy, I must say. Awesome. Okay, let's now get into our rapid fire section. One retention stat you think every CHRO should track?
We spoke about it. Definitely internal mobility, the skill taxonomy of the organization. It may sound wild skill taxonomy, because basis that your actual reactive recruitment will not happen if you know which skill is lying where.
Hmm.
Your
Hmm. Okay.
reactive high
Uh,
pressure middle career or mid level recruitment can be really supported if you know which skill is lying where in which department, and what is the
Understood.
collective human capital of the organization.
Understood. Build or buy, the future of retention. Your say on this.
Build 60 build,
Okay.
40 buy.
Okay.
Connected with my previous answer,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
build is definitely something which is the factor for a differentiated organization.
Sure. Sure. My next question, I think you've already answered, but I'll still go ahead. Culture first or compensation first?
Compensation, fine, it gives you a short little boost,
Hmm.
but there are research data that even
Hmm.
after the compensation has been changed, within couple of months, we are back onto the recruitment spree for the same role. There are research
Hmm.
data for that. In my own
Okay.
own practice, I have seen multiple times.
Hmm.
So culture definitely, but
Hmm.
it is it is a long
Hmm.
drawn collective effort, not only
Hmm.
given by the HR. Trust me.
Okay, so we are right now sitting in September, right? I guess 3 months or 4 months more to go before 2026 kicks in. But any HR trend that you are excited about or were excited about in 2025, or anything that you foresee coming up in 2026 that's really going to uh, be the game changer?
I told that also during our discussion today.
Yeah, yeah.
The AI driven talent marketplace
Hmm.
inside the organization or alongside similar targeted companies, and those
Hmm.
data are there. AI driven
Hmm.
talent marketplace is something
Okay. Okay.
which is going to be a game changer, and I'm personally I'm trying to do learn practice a little bit more on that particular trend.
Okay, awesome. One skill that helps HR predict flight risk.
HR one skill is always essential. Flight risk or anything for that matter is not only the hard fact of the business acumen. I want
Hmm.
all the HR to be connected with the business not only through the managers but also through the employees. So communicate,
Hmm.
communicate, and communicate. Not only people do not should not be seeing you only during the recruitment or the exit phase. That rest of
Understood.
the spectrum matters more in today's world. So communicate and stakeholders, manage the stakeholders.
Understood. Valid point. Uh, Last question of this amazing conversation. Is high attrition always bad, or is it just a sign of overdue change?
It's a sign of overdue change. It is not always bad,
Hmm.
because but if the organization setup is shaky, then what happens? You lose out the people whom you never wanted to lose.
Hmm.
So that
Hmm.
preservation of the organization core setup is the collective role of the HR and the business leaders. And then
Hmm.
um, you actually remove, or you actually take out people whom you are not really interested in. So
Hmm.
involuntary attrition, or
Hmm.
a voluntary attrition, that is something which
Hmm.
we need to see.
Awesome. What a profound answer to end this conversation, Gargi. I must say I learned a lot about
Thank you.
how to retain folks, right? All the time we get to hear attrition happening here and there, right? And even in um, my experience, I've seen a lot of folks moving out, a lot of brilliant folks moving out, and all the topics that you touched upon, I'm as a manager, I can totally relate to it, right? Um, uh, so be it, like having internal mobility in place, looking at whether the most enthusiastic employee has started to be a little more silent, right? These are little things, but one is if one is able to really catch these up early on, it can really be a game changer. And how you talked about different generations coming together, right, with their own different needs and wants, and how HR leaders should take a layered approach and segment out the masses and the classes and make sure that they, give equal support to uh, different aspirations that these two segments have. That was also an amazing point. Uh, and yeah, I mean, on one side you have culture, learning, promotions, compensation, everything. But I think at the end of the day, one thing's really stood out, and that was that culture is like the soil, as you said, right? Sunlight, water are all the other things which are equally important. But if the soil is uh, not conducive to the growth, nothing would work, right? So that forms the foundation of how HRs can design an awesome culture uh, to make sure that there is awesome retention of all the great employees and the attrition remains under control. Yeah, so it was an amazing conversation. Thank you so very much. I did my best to sort of summarize what all you told. But in case folks listening to this podcast, they want to reach out to you, uh, please let them know how they can reach out.
They can connect me over the LinkedIn, and they can
Okay.
also connect me on email if they require any kind of support. I'm available.
Okay, awesome. And I'll leave our audience with this. If you are in the Middle East, Africa, or India, or looking for a CHR or an HR leader to drive the next phase of your organization's growth and talent strategy, trust me, Gargi Banerjee is exactly the kind of leader worth speaking with. So you can reach out to her directly via LinkedIn, and I'm sure she'll be able to answer. That's how I reached out to her, right? And she was kind enough to agree to this podcast. To all our listeners, thank you so very much for tuning in to today's episode of the CHRO Mindset Podcast. If you happen to be listening this on Spotify, don't forget to give us a rating, right? 4, 5, 3, whatever you think it deserves. And I hope you learned a lot from today's conversation. There was a lot that I learned about attrition, retention, culture, and many other aspects of an HR person's workday. Uh, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review if you enjoyed the episode. Until the next episode, do take good care of yourself, and we'll again introduce you to another HR stalwart from whom we can all learn a lot. Thank you so very much again, Gargi. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time
you.
today.